Connection is available. Yay. Okay. Oh, I meant to put my light on. Ooh, spooky. We're going to talk about... that's better. Hi. Can you see me better now? Oh. And a little bit of hair out of place. We're doing good. Hello, hello. Say hi when you come on. We're going to be talking. We are. Hopefully you'll join me in the conversation. It is good to have some interaction on my page. I know that I'm talking about a delicate subject tonight, trauma, right? Hi, Tish. And trauma, hi, Stacy. Trauma's like all different levels of trauma, right? In psychotherapy, they will call trauma like big T and little t trauma. And I saw a post today and it was essentially said something along the lines of like not realizing that you're hurting. And I think that's what trauma does, is trauma puts us into this space of survival. And then you get through the event, right? So whether it's, in childhood trauma, when there's maybe divorce or death, and, as a child, you don't know how to deal with it, or even, abuse, abandonment, programming, right? Programming to be the good little girl or the good little boy, or to behave in certain ways, or even, told over and over again that maybe you're not smart enough, you're not pretty enough, or there's something wrong with you, like you have to lose weight, or you're not, you don't read right, or whatever, right? We come into these life experiences with some things to learn and grow through. If, I sometimes speak about, your past is your initiation. And when I'm working with clients who have these, desires to tap more deeply into their intuitive gifts, or their knowing, or their healing abilities, or their, extra senses, right? What I call superpowers, right? It doesn't even matter. You don't have to be a healer to want to be in touch with your superpowers. I think all the time how much my intuition helps my life and needing to make any kind of decisions or choices. I just tap into my knowing, and I trust myself and trust my intuition enough, because it's really just about a relationship with myself, that I'm always making the right choice, or just knowing. It's like the simplest of things, right? Whether I go out, I stay, go to the party, I don't go to the party, I follow up with that person, or I don't follow up with that person, right? So, or even, there's just so many, we all have intuition and we all have superpowers, and they'll benefit you in your life in moving through this human experience. Hi, Drew. Hi, Angela. Hi, Javier. Okay, so I went off a little bit on a tangent about superpowers, but essentially what I find is that when someone is having a challenge in like bringing their superpowers through, getting in touch with their intuition, getting in touch with their knowing, or wanting to expand or deepen their healing capabilities or expand their art, it's like what's holding that back is trauma. So what trauma does is we learn how to survive through it. So whether it's a big T or a little t, big T, I mentioned some of the things like divorce, abuse, abandonment. I didn't mention conditioning, right? So, learning, like being conditioned, like in your society, in your classroom, in your, wanting to belong, right? So we're conditioned to behave in certain ways. If you believe differently, that might risk you belonging to a tribe or a group of friends, or even inside your own family, right? And what happens is that if we continue to let these underlying fears and traumas hold us back, life just becomes more and more challenging. At least That's what I believe, and that's what I see. Because what I do see is that when I've gone through my own personal, like, hard parts, what I've desired has opened up for me. I'm going to share a little bit more on this video tonight about my journey. Hi, Anne. And so, you know, and little T traumas could be as, you know, here's the thing. You cannot compare your trauma to somebody else's trauma, or somebody else's trauma to your trauma. If it's affecting you in some way, then it's affecting you in some way. So don't dismiss it. But here's the thing, don't let it get in your way of having the life experience that your soul knows is possible and available for you. Okay, so, so little T traumas could be stuff like being not picked up after school, haven't been forgotten, or not being picked on the kickball team, or, I mean, even maybe, I mean, I'm not using the, you know, by the book psychotherapy definitions. And if that's important to you, definitely look that up. But I'm just sharing some of these things for you to see that there are differences, but if they may all be affecting you, and to not judge it. Okay. But what happens is that when we have these traumas that we don't know how to resolve, especially as a child, we don't have the emotional or intellectual capacity or capability to, you know, understand what's really happening, whether it be inside a car accident, being left at the bus stop, having your parents go through a divorce, or fighting, or you yourself going through any kind of abuse, right? You don't have the psychological or emotional understanding. And so what you do is you go into survival, right? And a lot of times what happens is that, especially if there's a continued cycle of abuse or fighting or programming and conditioning, what you do is when you're going through that survival and you want to fit in, you want to belong, you don't want to be abandoned, you know, what you do is you create these different aspects of yourself that can survive, right? So these parts of you that say, okay, you know, I don't know, when you come home after school, you make sure you don't do this certain thing to trigger anything, or, you know, you make sure you don't wear those name brand sneakers to school ever again so you don't get made fun of, or you like learn to be like the good girl, or the good boy, and take care of your parents' emotional needs, or try to do all of the things that you can so that maybe you can stop the fighting, or maybe you could stop the abuse, right? So you develop these parts of your personality, right, that are all under the umbrella of survival, right? And so you learn through some of these traumatic experiences that life isn't safe. So what happens though is that now, as you start growing through life and you're getting into adulthood, and you're wanting to, you know, you're wanting to lose weight, you're wanting to share your gifts with the world, you're wanting to share your art, you're wanting to let love into your life, you want to have more money, but something isn't happening, right? You're hitting up against a wall, you're hitting up against a pattern, you're seeing things happen over and over again in a cycle, right? The same type of relationships come into your life, or you can't quite get over that hump in your business, right? You keep hitting the same ceiling, you keep hitting the same issue, like, you know, people aren't calling you back, they're not showing you up, they're not participating. Or you lose weight and you gain it back, you lose it again and you gain more back, right? Or you get so much money in your bank account and then something happens and it goes, right? Like something, the furnace breaks, or you need a roof on your house, or your car breaks down and you need a lot of repairs, right? So then your money. So these are what, it's like so we call them glass ceilings, we call them patterns, we call them cycles. What I say is that it all comes down to any kind of trauma. When, hold on a second, what's Lily saying? Why would you say to someone who is displaying possible trauma responses, but no idea where the trauma may stem from, memory of anything traumatic? I'm not sure what you're saying, Lily. Why would I say to someone who is displaying possible trauma, but no idea where the trauma, memory of anything traumatic? Can you ask it again? Because I think there's words that are not in there that are having me a hard time understand what you're asking. So so we develop these parts of our personality, which I refer to as aspects that stem down to trauma responses, right? To ways of making sure that you don't hit up against the inner wound, right? So what we do is we develop these aspects that protect our hearts, protect our safety, protect us, but they also start to end up getting in the way, right? So it's like when you put yourself out there you go on a dating site or you decide that you want to be in a loving relationship, but you're either seeing the pattern over and over again, or the pattern of the same type of person again, or you get into a relationship and it lasts for like 3 months and then it breaks up, 3 months, it breaks up, 3 months, it breaks up. There's like part of this aspect. It's almost as if like you start to get really close to someone, or you start to get anywhere close to even being in love, like even just getting yourself like out with friends or something like that. Like if you're hiding out at home, you want to take a look if there's an inner part of you that is actually protecting your heart from heartbreak, betrayal again. Maybe you've been through a marriage and relationship where there's been betrayal, where there's been abuse, where there's been, neglect or an abandonment, right? So anything that you go to do that might risk you having that kind of hurt again, that's where this self-sabotage comes in, right? So, what's Lily saying? Hi, Livia. Hi, Amory. Okay, Lily, I'm going to come back to the comments. So let me just keep going on this roll and I will definitely get back to that. So that's just one example for love. The same thing with money, the same thing with, weight loss or getting your business out there, right? So there's plenty of business coaches out there, but I see it so easily for me because one of my survival skills actually that is turned into a superpower was being able to understand what was really being said under the surface, what was really going on under the surface beyond what was being presented here, right? So I'm able to hear what people are saying, but actually be reading the energy that's going on underneath it. So when people are talking about having challenges with their business and not making the money that they want to make, I can see and understand what is actually going on underneath the surface. There's an aspect of yourself that is actually afraid to put yourself out there, whether you're afraid that you'll fail, what people will think. It could be attached to money. It could be attached to a belief of I'm not enough, right? So if you have like this little trauma when you were 9 years old and you were on the maybe you were a little bit of an, awkward kid or didn't have all the cool clothes and you didn't get picked on the kickball team and there were all the cliques, like, you start to, in order to, move through that part of your life, you start to develop even beliefs about yourself. Well, I'm not enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not thin enough. Right. And then, but what you do is you develop these coping mechanisms so you can make it through life, so you can survive. But then when you're going to put yourself out in your business and you want to show up and alive, and all of a sudden you got a stomach ache, or you decide you have to go do your laundry, or you decide it's too late, or you decide your hair, your makeup isn't done right enough. Like you really these are the things that will seem like they make sense. Oh yeah, I didn't do my hair today, or who's going to be on live at this time, or, it's like it's really so much not about, okay, well, force yourself to do the thing, right? Or, force yourself to do the sales page, or force yourself to do the workshop, but then you do it and nobody shows up and nobody participates. And then because people can feel your energy behind it, because it's coming from force rather than flow, or rather than a space of service, right? And it can be so much easier if you get the things that you're trying to force through out of the way, right? The fears, the insecurities, the beliefs that I'm not enough, the beliefs that you might, I work with some people, superhumans who have like these amazing skills and who are very sensitive and empathic and tuned in, right? And some of their deeper fears are around being annihilated. And so it's like doing more actually likely, tell me if this is true for you, if you've experienced this, is that you like the more you do it, it actually causes more stress, or it causes more anxiety, or it causes more fear for you, right? Because if you're trying to push a kid, right, like, have you ever like, you know, let's just use this example. Maybe you're someone who thinks roller coasters are fun. I don't think they're fun. But you think, oh my God, this roller coaster is so cool. And you're trying to get a little kid to go on it because you think it's cool. You think it's fun. You think it's exhilarating, but you're trying to force the kid on it. Well, the kid is scared. The kid doesn't want to get on the roller coaster. The kid sees people screaming, right? He doesn't know, or she doesn't know that they're screaming because they're having a great time. He doesn't have the experience. He or she doesn't have the experience of the roller coaster before. So they're just seeing like how terrifying that looks, but you're forcing him, and it just amplifies the fear, and amplifies the terror, amplifies the resistance. Same thing that's happening with you. If you've got unresolved trauma inside, and you're doing, and you're forcing, and nothing is working, right? There's a part of you that goes beyond your mind, an aspect of yourself that is holding unresolved trauma, and the things that you're trying to do. Okay, I'm feeling a lot of resonance in my heart right now. So I feel like this is resonating with some of you guys, or even you're tapping into some of the fear that happens when you're forcing yourself, right? So you're forcing yourself, and it's just not going to go anywhere. Here's the thing. When it comes to this type of work, right, this inner work, like looking at the pain, looking at the trauma, you do not have to relive the trauma again. It may be uncomfortable, I'm not going to lie, but you do not have to relive the whole thing in order to move through it. That's one big important aspect. You don't have to live through it in order to move through it. It may be uncomfortable. I'll be totally honest, but you don't have to live through the whole thing. The second thing is that these aspects, this is why sometimes it's challenging to get beyond the hump on your own. And I will tell you how you can start doing this on your own. Is that the aspect that you developed in survival is going to work really hard to keep you safe. It's going to work really hard to keep you from doing the thing that's going to give you more money, that's going to put you in front of the public eye, that's going to share your vulnerability and your message and your art and your healing out in the world, or that you may potentially have another heartbreak or betrayal. So that inner aspect that's what creates the sabotage or the mind fuckery, right? So that's why it's like you have to go, like like my message is unfuck your mind, but it goes beyond that too, is that you have to like work with these aspects of you inside. And here's the thing, another thing is that these aspects, they're energy. Okay, so if you think of them as like background files that run on your computer, right? It's like, I don't know, like the virus stuff, the virus program on my computer runs in the background. I don't have to worry about it. It's the same thing what happens with these aspects. These aspects that have been developed for survival or to get through something or to protect any kind of pain run in the background. They're in your subconscious mind, right? So that's why your conscious mind, you're making the phone calls, you're following up with leads, you're putting yourself on a dating profile, you're sharing your course out into the world, but then nobody's showing up, you're not meeting the people that you want, the money comes and goes, all these cycles and patterns happen because the stuff that's operating in the background. And so it's like, we don't have to relive the whole thing through the mind. It's like going to the core, going to the energy of it. And so one of the other superpowers I have is I'm able to identify, what it, like I'll get a message or I'll see something, I'll pinpoint it, like something that happened at a certain age or what happened between, you and this other one, or, the relationship with your father or the relationship with your husband. Like I am able to see the points in which these aspects have been developed. And then I can see where the energy is in your body. And so we work together to release the energy so that it's not running in the background anymore. And then you get to step into the space of creation. You know, if it feels frustrating for you, it's because there is a greater part of you, your soul, your higher self, knows that more is possible and that somehow something is holding you back. And it's frustrating because that inside part of you, that aspect that's protecting you in some ways, right, trying to keep you safe and in survival and not risk getting hurt again, it's like that is doing its job too. That's holding on tight. That's working really hard so that you don't, so that it stays safe, right? Okay, so I think I covered everything. I was going to share a little bit of a personal story around, the reason why I know some of this is that, it's for weight loss, for example, is that a good majority of my life, something happened around 9 years old where I learned that there was something wrong with me. So I learned that there was something wrong with me, and that carried through my life, and it showed up as weight, extra weight. And at one point in my life, I was about to go into the next size in the women's plus section of the store. And at that point, I knew that something needed to change. I couldn't go up another size in my clothes. And I was 100 pounds heavier than I am right now. And so I had, since that point in time, so when did I start dieting? I don't even remember. But dieting was a big part of my life, right? It was diet, restriction, bad foods, like all of the things. And I even was taking diet pills at one time. And my weight, so I was at that high point. And then I would exercise and I would restrict and I would go on diets. And then I would lose some weight, but then I would gain it all back. So I would lose 20 pounds and I would gain 30. I would lose 10 and I would gain 15. Not only was it a roller coaster cycle for my body, but it was a mind fuck for my mind, because it's like, if you've dieted, you know how hard it is to just like get your mindset on board, to make different choices, to, get yourself moving. Oof, heart stuff again. What's going on, yo? And get yourself moving, right? And so then you finally do it, and then you lose it all, meaning you lose all the motivation, you lose all the inspiration, all the hard work that you did just goes out the window because you've gained all the weight back. It's frustrating on so many levels. But for me, what it was I doing the inner work, working with those aspects of me that didn't feel worthy, didn't feel important, believed that there was something wrong with me, also believed that life wasn't safe, right? So any diet in the world is not going to support you in losing weight if you ultimately don't feel safe. Any diet, any restriction, any change in your habits, working out, not working out, eating shakes, whatever it is not going to give you long-term lasting change if the inner stuff isn't taken care of. You could possibly do long-term restriction and dieting and limitation and like working your ass off all the time. That could work if that's the life you want to live. If you want to continue to be fighting against these things inside of you in order to have the accomplishment of losing the weight. But what I'm telling you is that for me, and what I see with my other clients, it's like even some of my clients where we're not working on this stuff, weight loss is like a positive byproduct, because we're getting to the inner things that are, we're healing the inner trauma and, like transmuting the energy of the trauma. Because you know how hard and frustrating it is to make positive decisions for yourself when there's an inner part of you that's screaming, no, no, don't do it. It's not safe. Yeah, it's hard, and it doesn't have to be hard. So, and it doesn't have to be hard to do this healing work either. I've been doing this since 2003, 17 years now that I got myself on this journey. I came on this journey for my own healing, and then I recognized and realized the the catalyst in, and the speed and the depth and the lasting changes that can happen in healing by going inside and doing the energy work and getting to the core of what is actually like creating the experiences, the cycles, the patterns, the same people, like the glass ceiling. When you get to the inner thing, like everything starts to open up. And again, it doesn't have to be hard. You don't have to relive the trauma. You have to be willing. And here's the, I think the last thing before I check the comments, and if you have any questions, do post them. I'm happy to, answer anything that comes up for you. And let me know if something's resonating, or if you even feel anything stirring up. I've been feeling a lot of energy in my heart as I've been speaking. Okay, this is the work I do. And if it's something that you feel like I'm ready to take the plunge, I am ready to get out of my own way. Right now in January, I have an energy clearing. I feel like an orb just flew by. I have an energy clearing and recalibration session available until January 31st for only $120.20. And I rarely do individual sessions. This came as a download a few weeks ago when I saw so many people were going through some really challenging stuff. A lot of stuff has been churned up. And so it's like a lot of stuff has been churned up at the beginning of this year because life is like having you see the stuff that you're holding on inside. We get in these traps of trying to fix the thing outside of us when life is showing you you have to go inside. There's something going on inside. And so if it's been challenging for you and doing what you've done hasn't been working, then maybe it's time to do something different. Okay. And I will post the link to my, to book that session. Hold on. I'm copying it right now and, post it again right there to, book that session. But so for you, maybe you're not ready yet. That's cool. Hopefully this information is eye-opening or heart-opening or mind-opening, body-opening to see that there might be some other stuff going on that, don't be so hard on yourself that all of your trying hasn't been working, or all of the, or that you've lost your inspiration, or that you've lost your motivation, right? Don't be so hard on yourself. It's likely something going on in the background that is, has a little bit more momentum and oomph behind it than, what you're working on in the conscious mind. Because your conscious mind is what do they say? It's such your conscious mind, there's numbers and I forget them because it's 85-15. 85% of your mind is your subconscious and 15% is your conscious. Don't quote me on the numbers. If you know them, post them below. But just for you to understand that there's a very small percent of your mind that you're consciously aware of in this moment, listening to Kellyanne on a video, Facebook, conscious. Subconscious, back of the mind, the stories. What are people going to think? Are people going to get this message? Is it going to have the impact that I want to have? Is it going to be inspiring to have people go inside and shift, right? That would be on the background. Or even this doesn't make any sense. Nobody's going to understand you. You shouldn't even get on the video in the first place, right? If those are some of the things that I've become conscious of, that I don't let them stop me anymore. But years ago, I don't know, maybe even last week, it would have stopped me. And maybe sometimes it still does. But I love myself anyway. and I still show up. And I feel like it's, just sometimes I've had to go through these experiences so I can understand them. And that's why it's like, I said it earlier in the video, is like your past is your initiation. And I feel like my past experiences have been my initiation to be able to meet people where they are in their painful, dark, hard, traumatic spaces, and like how to find your way out. Because that's what I've done for myself. And I know how hard it is, and I know how scary it is. And what I'm saying to you is that the work that I do helps it move through much more quicker and with ease, and so that you can be actually living in line with the life that you want to be living. So I'm going to get to this is what I wanted to say, which was, so maybe you're not ready to do any work with me yet, but keeping in mind, let's say you have a goal, right? You want to be making more money. You want to be meeting with the ideal clients. You want to be sharing your art or your message, or you want to be in that loving relationship. You want to find that ideal partner. You want to be making more money. You want to lose the weight, right? You want to be healthier. Now, so keeping in mind everything that I shared in this video tonight, right? So there's like the inner aspects that are like scared, right? And so it's like, when you start to take steps that get closer to what might trigger or shake up the inner protective mechanisms, it's going to trigger your nervous system, and your nervous system's going to go into your mind. It's going to say, alert, alert, danger, danger. And it's going to like tell you, I'm too tired to go to the gym tonight, or it's too cold to go out tonight, or I don't really have time to call that potential client or sale back, or I'm too tired to write the sales page, or whatever it is, right? It's going to make sense. So I'm sharing some stuff with you for you guys to like go move through this stuff on your own. So you're gonna have an awareness. Am I really that tired? Is it really that cold out? Right? So you're gonna have an awareness. Then the next step, right, is that you're gonna put your mind towards the outcome of the desire, right? And not so much about, I'm going to have $100,000 in my bank account, or I'm going to be a size 10, or I am going to, be married, right, in 3 months. Those, yes, you want to have clarity about what your desire is, but like, what is the feeling? What is the feeling, right? I want to feel love. I want to feel accomplished. I want to feel like I'm giving back, that I'm making a difference. I want to like help people get to their next, like I want to feel as though I'm helping people get to their next level. I want to, be inspired by watching others be inspired through my message or my art or my healing, right? You guys picking up what I'm putting down? Like, so getting to the feeling. So the reason I say that is that because it's almost as if, like, if you have these inner aspects, and if you're focused, this is a unfuck your mind trick here. If you focus on the feeling, it's almost like you go around the aspect, because you're not going directly, right? You're not going directly. You're not like, I'm throwing myself into a singles dating event tonight, right? Then you rip your stockings, or your heel breaks, or you get a flat tire on the way there, right? Because your inner aspect is like, F no, I'm scared. Same things happen with money. Same things happen with losing weight. So, but if you go to the feeling, you're not threatening the aspect directly. The aspect isn't going to get directly triggered, right? So when you think about sharing your course online, think about don't think about, are people going to respond? Are people going to like it? Like, how are you being of service? Like, how is that sharing your art? Like, how is that you sharing your creativity, right? Not so much about the thing that could directly trigger the inner aspect. Let me know if that is making sense to you guys. if you have any questions on that, because that's something that you could do on your own to start to dismantle with ease these inner aspects, because it's like your inner aspects will start to, so as you start to do things differently than you've done before, right? Because I bet a lot of you that are hitting the glass ceilings or in the patterns or the cycles, or not knowing, like you're having that inner discord, you know that this should be better and have more and fuller experience, but you're hitting up against something. It's because that inner aspect has been developed. But when you go around and get into the feeling, what happens is that the inner aspect, you start to develop a different relationship with yourself. You start to develop a different relationship on a different level with this inner aspect. This inner aspect starts to realize, kind of on its own in the background, oh, wait a minute, life is safe. Oh, I can take care of myself, because life is going to bring you experiences that are going to help you build your muscle. Okay, I'm going to get to the comments right now. If you have any more questions, post them here. I really, I cannot stress enough to be easy on yourself, to not make yourself wrong, to not get frustrated with yourself, to be coming from wherever you are in your life from a space of unconditional love, because any change that you need to make is not, that will last, is not going to be coming from a space of hate or anger or wrongness, right? When you come from a space of self-love and acceptance, it actually starts to soften those inner aspects inside. Okay. Last thing I'm going to say, and then I'm going to get to the comments, I promise, is that I have been developing a group course for, I'm trying to find a name. It will be around weight loss. It will be through dismantling these inner mechanisms and these aspects and working with your mindset. My background is holistic health counselor. I'm a certified holistic health counselor. So I do know, about food and whatnot, but this will be more about the inner work. If it's an interest of you, leave an emoji or a GIF, is it a GIF, down here, or send me a message and let me know that you want to be contacted when I get that page written up. Because, as I said in my earlier journey of losing 100 pounds, I think I said this, I did the inner work, and it wasn't any special diet that helped me lose or keep off the weight. And so, yeah. And then being a sensitive and an empath, I mean, it's an interesting, especially if you're, channel of energy, and if you're working a lot with energy, your body's going to shift and change, and, learning how to work with that. Again, it's like, from the space of unconditional love. So many of us have been conditioned that there is something wrong with us because we are not a size 2. That's not what this course is going to be about. It's going to be about being comfortable in the skin you're in, and the natural byproduct. You'll also be able to, when I get to the core of the beliefs that are holding people back, everything in their life opens up. Right? So when I was working specifically on love coaching, and I was doing the inner work with my love coaching clients, everything in their life started to change and open up. Their money, their relationships, their health, their weight loss, their business, hitting 6 figures, international speaker, getting married, losing weight, right? And so, all right, I'm going to get to the comments. So just if you're interested and want to know more, leave me a message, and what I'll do is I'll just send you a link. There's absolutely no obligation whatsoever. All right, I want to check the comments. If there's anything you have questions on, post them below. Okay, Lily says, sorry, I meant to say, what would you say? What would you say to someone who is displaying possible trauma responses but no idea where the trauma may stem from? No memory of anything traumatic. Oh, well, here's the thing. The thing is that you don't have to remember the trauma. The trauma is not important. The like what happened or the memory of it. It's actually because what's happening is the display of it, right? The manifestation, the protection, the glass ceiling, the pattern, right? So if it were me and I was working with the client, I would actually go in and like find the, like where that energy is, right? So the way that I see like your system, you're a physical body and you've got electric currents running through you, you're a vibration, right? And the trauma responses are like kinked wires or broken wires or wires that have been like tangled, right? And so just going into the tanglement or the break and doing the energy work on it, actually, you don't need to know what the trauma is when you go right into the energy of it. Let me know if that answered your question, if you're still here, Lily. Superpowers. Absolutely. Jackie says, absolutely resonating in this house. Multiple people listening. Oh, beautiful. I'm glad, Jackie. Glad you're here. Okay. Lily says, I would love to interview for my new podcast series if you're willing. Yep. It's called the Confidence Academy podcast and helps people struggle with anxiety, stress, and depression. Yes. Deeper mission to help people who wake up to their true power and live their life in alignment. Yeah, that's my gig, Lily, is that what I see is like so first of all, like anxiety and depression from my perspective are kinked wires, right? Or something like traumatic happens, right? And it just creates like a block. It creates a mechanism, right? It creates an aspect. And now that aspect is like living out life, but the soul knows that something more, is available. And that's why I talk about superpowers is that, especially, some of the sensitives and the empaths that have been through trauma at a young age, some of their superpowers have been developed from there. But because they were developed from a trauma space, they've actually blocked them off. And they're not in touch with their intuition. They're not in touch with their knowing. They're not in touch with their clairvoyant or, their extra senses. So, again, I think I also feel like some of the medications that people are being put on them too quickly or they're put on for them too long. And it's actually numbing out the soul's expression that you're here to have. So I feel like underneath the anxiety and depression are actually superpowers and gifts that want to come through, but haven't really been understood well. Okay, I went a little rant there. Let me know if that makes sense. Livia says, can you describe what you mean by feeling energy in your heart? Well, what happens with me, Livia, is that I'm able to feel energy. So when I'm working with someone, and that's why I can do my work was over the phone or over the computer like this. I have the capability to be able to feel what is going on with whomever I'm speaking with. And so when a couple of times tonight when I was speaking, I could feel that what I was saying was actually resonating with people who were listening. And so I can feel like I knew one of the times I could feel that I hit on a point of someone's protection aspect that was just like, whoa, wait, whoa. And that's why if you're thinking about doing some personal or inner work, make sure that you're doing you're making the choices about doing the work from that end feeling, from that space of like, I want to feel better. I want to feel more comfortable in my skin. I want life to be easier. I want to be in my flow, versus from that other space of I'm going to, do whatever I need to get rid of these aspects, because those here it is. I'm feeling it again. These aspects are going to fight to hold on because they've been developed to keep you safe and protect you. And so if you're going to do anything that's going to threaten them, it's going to trigger your nervous system and your mind for survival. And it's going to tell you, you don't have the money. You don't have time for that. This isn't the right time, right? Or I need to get permission from my spouse or whatever, right? It's all going to make sense. But you know what? If your car broke down, you'd find the money. If the roof came off your house, you'd find the money. So that's why it's like when you're making decisions about doing personal growth and healing work, make sure you're tuning into, okay, I keep seeing myself this behavior. I can't quite seem to like stay like on path with the goals or do the things that I want to do. I keep finding myself distracting myself. At the end of the day, I feel like I didn't accomplish anything. I know that I'm here to like share something with the world, or like, sitting home on a Friday night, like eating Haagen-Dazs and everybody's out having a good time. But you're too afraid because, you don't want to get your heart broken again, or betrayal. So I went on a tangent there to answer your question, Livia. Actually, so even as I'm talking now, I can feel some stuff going on in my stomach area, right? So there's a power center stuff going on where, it's almost like, there's your soul who's like, there's more available for you to experience, right? And then your inner aspects are like, no, we got to stay safe. It's reminding me of, so your body is a manifestation of your subconscious mind. So when you start to have physical pain, it's actually a signal from your mind that something is out of alignment, right? The wires are crossed up or broken. And I was actually, so in my groups, sometimes I offer a VIP option where you can add on a one-on-one call. And I had a one-on-one session scheduled with a member of the group. And I don't know, it was like 5 hours before their session. And they messaged me and they were like, I'm in so much physical pain. I'm not going to be able to meet with you in 5 hours. And I have to crawl up my stairs to go to bed. And so I tuned in. So that's another thing is like I can remote view. And so I was able to tune into her energy and to see what was going on for her. And, obviously if she was in of course she was in pain, but this pain was actually coming up because we were going to get on the session and that energy was going to be transmuted. And that aspect was showing up and saying, no, like physical pain, stop her. Don't let her have this call. So I told her that actually, no, we're going to still have your call. Take it from your bed. And we did the energy work within a half an hour and it was released and pain was gone. This was actually, she had gone to the doctor and the doctor said, you're going to need 6 weeks. Was it 6 weeks or 6 months? I'll say 6 weeks of physical therapy. After my session, she didn't need it at all. She didn't need any physical therapy. She was done. Pain was gone. Right. So, does that answer your question? Hi, everybody. Thanks for showing up. Let's chat, Lily. Oh, good. I'm glad you caught it tonight, too, Tish. Thank you for being here. I love having you here. Hi, Taylor. Okay. I think that's it. I don't see any more questions or comments. And I know I gave you guys a lot of information here. And I really love your questions because I live and breathe this. And so when stuff comes up for me, I know how to move through it. I know the hows, right? It's helpful for me to hear where you're at, what the patterns look like, what the cycles look like, or how I know that a lot of this, so many of you have learned how to manage working around discomfort, working around your fears or your heartbreak, right? And what I'm saying to you is that there is another way, and there's ease and there's flow. And when you're not fighting against the inner parts of yourself, the things that you do desire, the things that you are wanting to go after, right? The love, the sharing your business, feeling good in your skin, right? Being anxiety or depression free, or at least knowing that you're safe. That's possible. You don't have to work around it. You can you can be living what your heart and your soul are guiding you towards. Just don't let the aspects make your decisions. Okay? Oh, I did answer your question. You're welcome. Oh, wait, Livia, did you say, hold on. You asked a question. Did you ever get frightened before when stuff would come up, like a physical issues? Well, so for like, this is a good question because for me, when physical issues come up, it's actually like I know that it's something going on in my mind or my energy field. And so I go there. So I don't get scared or frightened. There was a period of time, and it was probably 2 years ago now, where I was going through ascension symptoms and, expansion and upgrades of my system, where I was having heart stuff. It's funny, I talked about it a few times tonight, where I feel stuff in my heart. But I was feeling a lot of heart stuff, so much so that it was probably going on for a good few weeks. Like I knew that it was just ascension and it was just energy. And I knew that my heart was being cleared out. I knew my heart was being healed. I knew that the magnetic center that this thing is, that you guys all have hearts. They're all very powerful superpowers within you. It was being upgraded. Well, it got to I don't even know how long it was. I'm going to say maybe by the end of the month, I was like, I actually maybe should go to the doctor and get this checked out. And I went, they gave me an EKG and everything was fine. So, so to answer your question, no, I don't. If something physical comes up, I go to the energetic aspect, I go to the mind aspect, and I work from there. Trying to think. I mean, I have worked with clients who have had childhood stuff. Okay, here's the heart thing again. Childhood stuff around like illness and almost dying and being in hospitals at young age, that when something happens now, fear comes up. But when we do the healing around the core fear of when the original trauma happened, then it stops happening, right? Because it's like, if you can understand that when you stop fighting the inner parts of you, that like your energy is freed up, your being is freed up, so that you can actually tap into flow, so you can actually have a deeper connection with your heart and your soul and your higher self, and be tapping into that co-creator energy that you are, right? Yeah, I'm just being reminded of a session that I did with someone where I was guiding her to release this backpack of stuff she was carrying. But she was actually too scared to let it go because she didn't know who she was without it. So, of course, we have to work on those parts, those aspects that are like, who am I? Because the unknown is scary, right? Pain is familiar. Pain is comfortable. Discomfort is comfortable. And what I'm saying is that it's actually more comfortable on the other side and through it, to be in flow, to be tapped in, to be connected, to, have your access to your clairvoyance, your knowing, more of your energy, no matter what you're doing in life. Okay, so Livia says, that's what I wondered, if in the beginning, did you ever get sucked in and your mind ego took over? Oh yeah. I mean, I've been doing this for 17 years now. So yeah. Yeah. And that's why if you even go on Instagram or Facebook and just put in hashtag unfuckyourmind, you're going to find a lot of my stuff, because that's exactly it. It's like, the fear, the ego, right? That it's really your nervous system getting triggered and going into fight, flight, freeze, right? Going into some kind of survival mode. And so if you get to the core, right, the energetic surge that triggers the trauma, then you're not going to go into the fear. Your mind's not going to take over. Your ego's not going to take over. And this is like another example of why sometimes people resist coming into doing healing work and inner work is because that part of your mind, right, that feels like it's on guard, that feels like it's like keeping aware of all potential problems in case they come. You want to make sure that if a problem occurs, or if there's something wrong with the body, that you're on high alert and it's going to take care of it. So if there's anything that threatens these aspects that you really don't need anymore, they're going to kick up and they're going to say, no, I can't do that work. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. I don't have the timing's not right. I'm just too busy. Check yourself. Check yourself is what I'm hearing. So what if we can't pinpoint the original trauma? Well, so if you want to do it on your own, what you do is, hold on, let me tune in for you on that. That's the thing. I mean, Livia, that's the thing. I mean, you've created these inner mechanisms to keep yourself safe and survive and move through life. It's going to be a little bit challenging for you to find it on your own, because it's like you develop it to keep yourself safe. Okay. So one, take yourself off the hook if you feel like, I've been trying to do all this work and nothing's working. First of all, just know that you develop that to keep yourself safe, and it's going to like hide from you. Okay. But number two, to do some of your own inner work is that to like be aware of what is going on throughout your day. Like, what is going on in your body? Like, what are you noticing? Do aches and pains come up? And then, what do you do about it? Is like, are you in consistent, persistent pain that's not going away? Well, you've got to go into it. You've got to be with it. You've got to like lay with it and tune into it and breathe into it and talk to it and see what it wants from you. Right? And that's why I said is like, you don't have to go through the trauma, but you do have to bring awareness to what is going on inside. Does that make sense? All right. How do we get to the core? I've been searching for years and still can't find it. Yeah. Well, Livia, let's do a call. Let's do a session. My sessions for I shared earlier, like I rarely do. I don't know if I'm going to continue this or not. I'm not sure at this point, but I know for January through the 31st, I have the energy clearing and the recalibration session available for 1/20/20. And that ends on Friday, January 31st. I don't know if I'll continue to do single sessions or not, but I know that like that is a very reduced rate to be doing one-on-one personal sessions with me. And peruse through my page, you'll see that there's a lot of, I've posted some testimonials from people about their experiences of having these where they feel like, a weight has been lifted, their energy came back, they feel like they can move mountains, their energy's not all over the place, they feel grounded, they feel more at inner peace, right? And, yeah, so, if it's like, we could always tell within your first session, some like great stuff has been happening inside a single session. And I also have the longer term mentorship, because what I love to do in my work is to support the sensitives and the empaths to we'll clear the stuff right at the beginning, but let's go into creation. Like, let's get clear what you really want for your life. What is it that you really want to be doing? Right? What have you been forcing yourself to do? And, what do you really want to be creating? What do you really want to be experiencing? And so that's what we get to do our work from there. So, thank you for participating. Thank you for watching. And if you know anybody that might benefit from watching this video, please do share it. If you catch the replay and you have any questions after, post them below and I will come back and answer them. And because like I said earlier, like your questions help me put to words stuff that to me I see as energy. Like my primary language is energy. And so when you have questions, it helps me to formulate words and to share and ultimately help other people. So thanks again for watching. Have a good night.